Hello, my name is Carolyn Jones. Today I'm going to be talking about Competency 1B. Candidates can explain how students' first language proficiency in listening, reading, and writing transfers to and supports English language acquisition. So we read an article from Dr. Johnson discussing the language gap, and it talked about putting a blame on the economically challenged communities, and that is a misguidance or counterproductive, that those are the only areas that supports or are hindered from that language gap. Talking about those communities are not high communicating communities. It also talks about putting a blame on low academic performance, and those students that have a language gap fall into that trap. And I think it's something that we need to be aware of, but I disagree that our students that are low performing have a language gap. Like I said, it's something that we need to be aware of, but not something that we need to put a target or put a title on. It did talk about that I really thought about deeper for me growing up in Pasco, but then also my experiences that I have had, is it talks about the norms of interactions is established by a community. And then that shapes the way that people acquire a language to meet the cultural and the community needs. I think about that with the families that I work with and the families that I interact with, including my own extended family, and that we make the comment that in affluent families, young children read so much more and have so many more words introduced to them at a young age. And in the community and the families that I work with, that is probably true. Our youngins are not read to every single night because their parents are working multiple jobs, or one parent works during the day and the other one works at nights. And the youngins that need to be read to a lot of times are babysat or watched over, including fed by their siblings. And their siblings are only middle school age kids. And they have their own homework, their social things that they want to do. So reading to their younger siblings is not on the forefront. So that hit for me, the comment in the article that the norms is established by the community that then shape the people that are acquiring the language. We also watched a video about Spanglish that Dr. Johnson did on his TED Talk. And it talks about that change between languages, English and Spanish, and that code switching. I think we have a lot of people that do that code switching. A lot of times it is within the sentence, a couple words English and then a couple words Spanish. Everyone gets the gist of it, even if you are not bilingual. I think that there are many people that pick up on that Spanglish. I enjoyed seeing the different signs that he did in his presentation. And that's the reality. We drive through Pasco and we see many of our signs in Spanish or in Spanglish. I do wonder, and I do question and think about, is the Spanglish that our students speak in class and their families, does that mean that they are proficient in their L1? By using Spanglish, do they know how to read, write, speak in Spanish, their native language? So that's always a question that I wonder is how many of our students are biliterate, that they can read and write in Spanish, their native language. Some of the things that for me, talking about this competency and talking about the different domains in language proficiency, I am not in the classroom, but in the work that I do with my staff members, we look at the language proficiency levels. And it is something that as a teacher, you have to be ready for. I've introduced it probably 5 years ago and have came back to it a couple different times. And I have staff members that are ready to move forward. This coming year is a huge goal at Ochoa, is to actually dive in and look at the response that we need to do for our bilingual students so that they are successful in our schools. So I work with those language proficiency levels to show and talk to the teachers about knowing who their students are sitting in their classroom and the levels they are currently at, and then where do we need to move them on that continuum in those domains of speaking, reading, writing, and listening. I know at Ochoa, the data shows that our lowest domain is writing. And so that is something that we need to really work on. The last couple of years, we have used our AVID strategies, and we have a bigger number of students and teachers that are AVID Excel trained, which is the program for the bilingual students. And so we work a lot with sentence frames. This is a strategy that students can use and then progressively be taken away, and then they move that writing on themselves. I want to investigate how we can do this better, how we can get to more students with having over 500 bilingual students. It's something that we need to investigate and look at how we can move them through their proficiency levels so that they become proficient not only in their L1, their native language, but then also in the English language. Thank you.